Hey, and thanks for joining us. We've got Brandon Hopkins on this episode, and I'm going to let Brandon introduce himself, tell you all a little bit about him and what he does.
Well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. It's great being with you today, and appreciate you having me on the show. We do a lot of SEO. Diamond Links does a lot of SEO and a lot of reputation management, but our kind of our core focus is results based SEO and results based reputation management. So that's really where we dive in. Is we do SEO, we do reputation management, but really with the goal of influencing the search results.
Great, great, awesome. Yeah, that's definitely good to hear. That's exactly who our community wants to listen to and ask questions about. So I'll jump right into the questions here. Um, Now, these questions kind of work in two parts, and I tell everybody this. The first part is largely agency or work related. The second part is not agency, not work related. So they could be considered personal, but they're still about the business, but they're more about you. So the first question that we really have that's on a lot of people's mind is what kind of warning signs do you see, maybe early within a relationship with a business that you're working with that would be like red flags to say that this is going to be a high maintenance client or troublesome client?
I actually just talked to a lady yesterday, and so she's the perfect case study for a red flag. The very first things that she started off with were, I need things that are different than what you normally do. I
Mhm.
don't have a lot of money, and I need it done quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So she wants us to work outside of our normal scope. She doesn't have money to pay for work outside of our normal scope, and she needs it like yesterday. So those types of things to me are signs of somebody who is going to be demanding, but doesn't have the budget to be demanding and doesn't have the time frame to allow us to actually get done what we need to get done. And I
Yeah.
don't mind demanding clients, but often there's a premium that needs to be paid, because if we're going to go above and beyond, then we need to be compensated for going above and beyond. So that kind of, to me, it kind of like falls outside of what we do and what we do well. And so she was a major red flag. And I mean, our total conversation was probably 7 minutes. And
Wow.
I told her, fairly quickly, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. I hope you can find somebody who is a better fit for you. And she got upset. She didn't like to hear that, which is always the confirmation of the red flag, that the client
Sure.
is upset afterwards, which, we don't want anybody to be upset, but it's just a fact sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to hear. I know one of my favorite ones is basically people that somehow, for whatever reason, get a hold of your cell phone number and they text you or call you all hours of the day and night and on the weekends. And while I know there's some people that like to just get things off their chest so they don't forget the next morning or the next business day, there's some of those clients that that they're doing that because they expect you to be awake or working at 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. or on Saturday. So yeah, that's definitely good advice about the red flag there. So that kind of leads me into my second question. So, you did kind of answer this with that particular situation, but a lot of people seem really nervous, especially if they don't have a lot of clients or they're starting out and they don't necessarily know that it's all right to tell a client no and just reject a client. So I'm assuming that you have no problem with that you'll just tell a client no, but they are curious. Do you give them like a 1, 2, 3 strike clause, like 3 strikes and you're out, or do you just flat out reject somebody as soon as you know it?
I would say that when I first started Diamond Links, I was much more willing to take on difficult clients because I needed the work and I needed the money. So at that point, growing the business, a client that was willing to pay $1,000, even though they were going to be difficult, was worth the trade off.
Yeah.
Now it's not so much worth the trade off. And so I think at different points of your career is okay to take on a difficult client or two. Like, my past client roster is littered with red flags. And a lot of them I knew at the time. They just like held up the red flag and they would just
Yeah.
like wave it in your face, like, I'm going to be a problem. but there was also money, so it was like they were waving a red flag and dollar bills at the same time. And so you're like, all right, I'll take them both. I'll take the money and also take the red flag, and we'll deal with it later. And at this point, though, my time is more valuable than the effort involved with dealing with the red flag client. So now I can turn away the red flags, but for many years I would take on the red flags. And I think what I've learned is to identify those red flags early, and rather than a 1, 2, 3, just know when those red flag clients come that they're not going to be a good fit, either personally, like their personality with the way that our company runs. Like, we're a very nice company. Like, we have nice people that work for us. If a
Yeah.
client comes in and they're yelling and cussing and screaming, if that's not how we work. We like to work with people and we like to help people. And so a lot of times, just personality wise, somebody might not be a good fit. And I'm okay with telling that person, probably not a good fit for our company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's definitely good to hear because I think people that will listen to this or people who ask these questions, they're just really unsure, and I think it's good for people to hear that when you're starting out and maybe you need the income, that maybe you can be a little bit more flexible. But once you grow an actual company and have employees, you've got to think about their well-being and their stress level and how that one particular client might end up creating a toxic culture, because then maybe you or your employee that doesn't want to wake up and answer their emails because they might get screamed at, or
Yeah.
just end up ruining their day. So that's definitely good to hear.
Yeah,
Good
and we
advice.
actually had a former client who had his CMO was like that. Like, the former client, I had worked with him probably off and on for 10 years. He hired a CMO, and this guy was like very difficult to work with. And so
Yeah.
I had, in different, like, over the course of probably 3 months, I had 3 different employees come to me and say, I'm really having trouble working with this person. What should I do? And so I ended up having to tell his boss, who is, kind of a friend, colleague that I've known for a long time, we're not going to be able to keep working with your CMO. Like, if you want to take over, or if there's somebody else we can work with, we're happy to do that. But if he's going to be in charge of your SEO campaign, we can't be a vendor for you. And he said, no, I've hired him. I pay him a lot of money. And I say, okay, I understand that. That's kind of what I expected. So at the end of this month, I think it's probably best for you to start searching for someone else. And
Sure.
it's unfortunate, but I think it is important to have somewhere to work that you enjoy, and being able to do something that you don't have somebody yelling at you all the time, and no matter what you do, you're wrong. And it's just, that's demoralizing, and that
Yeah,
carries over to other clients. So everybody suffers when you have that kind of red flag client.
definitely. Well, our next question, a lot of these people, they're just single owner. They have no employees yet. Maybe they have 2 or 3 employees that are working in some core areas. And they kind of asked this question, actually. I was surprised by the frequency of it. They wanted to know at what revenue level should a business start hiring. And I kind of look at it as, maybe the revenue level is not the right question to ask, because really that's kind of a trap door. Um, in your opinion, I'll rephrase it. When do you think is the right time to hire an employee, whether it's your first employee or maybe it's, you're working in the business and you have 2 or 3 employees and you're getting frustrated, and you come to realize that maybe it's time to hire. When do you look to hire, whether it's the first one or maybe it's somebody that's after the first couple?
For me, I think this question has multiple parts. So the first one is, do you need the income for bills and expenses personally? Because if you need that, you have a job and this is your job. So doing as much of the work as you can puts food on the table. If
Yeah.
that's the position you're in and you want to pay somebody 25 bucks an hour, could you be doing that job for 25 bucks an hour? And, every day you work 4 hours in that position, you've got 100 bucks. So trying to balance, I need the money to pay bills. And also, I think, looking at the company, and at some point, like the way that Diamond Link started is we started doing SEO work for like 400 bucks a month. And then our prices started to go up as we acquired more customers, but still wanted to provide a high level of results. So as our prices increased, our work structure increased, but I also needed less total customers to make the same amount of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So trying to balance the amount of work with the revenue per customer is important, because you don't want to be a single operator with 100 customers paying $400 a month. You'd much rather have 20 customers paying $2,000 a month and making about the same amount of money. So trying to balance what you charge a customer with what you're offering is an important thing. And then for me, what I did was my very first full-time hire, I had a lot of subcontractors. And my very first full-time hire, which she's still with me today and she's fantastic, what I told her was, here are things that I don't like to do, that I often choose not to do because I don't like doing them.
Yeah.
So for me, it was, we used to send reports on the 1st and the 15th. So I would have to pull reports out of SERPWoo. I'd have to go into our spreadsheets, pull out the links that we built, look at graphs and charts and see what I want to share with the client on the 1st and the 15th. And I'd have to invoice all of our clients. So that would take me 2 or 3 days to do that twice a month. And then sometimes clients wouldn't pay. So 2 weeks later, I have to follow up with them on trying to get the bill paid. And it was like, I hated the 1st and the 15th because it was such a drag. And so I'd put it off, and now it's the 3rd, and I know I need to send reports. Clients are emailing, where's the report? So when I hired her, it was really for my mental sanity, and it allowed me to focus on what I'm good at. I like sales. I like working with customers. I don't like sending reports. I don't like logging into PayPal and sending out invoices, but I do like the other part of the business. So when I took the things I didn't like to do and gave those things to her, our business doubled within 6 months because we're collecting on every invoice. I'm able to spend time with clients and with prospects. And so for me, it was, we were at a point already where I was maxed out in terms of hours. And so hiring her really freed me up to do more in what I wanted to do. And that's kind of something for me, always trying to hire people to do what they like to do, and where areas that they're going to be good at really is fulfilling to them. And if they can do something that they enjoy doing and they're good at, people find fulfillment in their work, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that because I know a lot of advice that maybe I've read in a book or seen in a course or seen in other videos, actually. It seems like a lot of people talk about, well, what are areas that you don't know about? And you kind of see this in questions as well, like on Quora or on Reddit, where somebody's like, I'm brand new. I'm really good at marketing, but I don't know how to code. I don't know how to program. So should my first hire be a CTO or a technical person? And while that might be valid for them, I've kind of done the same thing. I realized that my first couple hires were actually people that did jobs that I hated. I could do them. I knew how to do them, but I hated to do them. And one of them was reports. I hated pulling reports because while you can get a program like Swado or NinjaCAD or something that can help automate it, there's some clients that want this real bulky Excel spreadsheet, and they want other custom things. And I'm like, I hate doing that. I hate the reporting too. So that's kind of what I did. Also, I hired somebody to do the jobs that I didn't know how to do. I just did not want to do them. I hated them. So that's great advice.
Yeah. And that first person, I think, is, I always like to find somebody for that first type of person that I know well, or at least is a connection of somebody, because that first person has to have a lot more access than everybody else does. Like, that person often needs to log into my email account and PayPal
Yeah.
and banking and have our EIN and send 1099. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of trust that has to go into that first person. So like,
Sure.
a developer, just hire someone on Upwork for that
Yeah.
task. But this person, like, you got to be able to trust them that they're doing the right thing. And that's hard to find just when you put out a job description and hope for good applicants.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what kind of tools, like if maybe I'll break this down as an A and B. So if you were to name the top three tools that you would use in your business, not necessarily SEO or ORM or marketing related, but business tools, and then three tools for online marketing. And these would be ones that you just could not live without.
I would say from a business standpoint, I really like Loom.
Mhm.
It's cheap. It's like $10 a month.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to send a 2-minute video to a client than type out a 10-minute email. It also has a lot more personability to it. I have Loom on my phone, and I was out shopping actually with my wife, and a client emailed. And so I walked out of the store while she was shopping, and I recorded a short Loom video and sent it to him. And he was like, "Hey, where are you? I can tell that's not your office." Just he
Yeah.
appreciated that there was still a personal connection. So Loom is definitely one of them. We use the Google Suite for a lot of stuff. So Sheets
Okay.
and Docs. It's nice to be able to collaborate live. So I'd say that was definitely a second one. Um, and from a business standpoint, probably another thing that we use pretty heavily is things like Scrapebox and Windows VPS servers.
Yeah.
Not for like comment spam, but just collection of information and being able to use all the tools in Scrapebox to, parse CSVs, remove duplicate lines out of a 10,000 row text file. Just being able to use the suite of tools that Scrapebox has is really, really convenient. And I haven't posted a comment like using Scrapebox in
Oh,
10
yeah.
years probably, but I still use it every day, and I probably have 10 licenses that, when I used it more heavily, but now it's just a convenient tool that does a lot more things than just posting comment spam.
Yeah. Yeah, I had multiple Scrapebox licenses too, and it was kind of crazy, all of the functionality and everything it could do besides just blasting links out to places. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree there.
Yeah. From a marketing perspective, I love tools like SERPWoo that show graphs and charts. I always think when we send reports to clients, having the ability to show them graphically what's happening, I could say, you were ranking number 10, now you're ranking number 5. But if I show a chart that shows them going from number 10 to number 5, that is so much more impactful than just saying you went from 10 to 5. So anything like
Yeah.
that that shows a picture of results, which is hard because this isn't, you can't touch and feel, it's not tangible, the ranking results. So that's what we always tell our clients is our measure of success is if you search for your keyword and you see results, that is what we measure results by. Having a third party tool like SERPWoo takes my related searches and my personal search history, my IP's search history out of the equation,
Yeah.
their search history out of the equation, and it's a non-biased third party tool. So we explain that to clients that you have search history, I have search history, this tool has search history, but it's not going and clicking on, random news articles like I am. It's not looking at iPhone 13 specs and then wondering,
Yeah.
what the difference is between your current one. And then it doesn't do those normal type searches. So it's less biased than I would be or you would be. So those types of things are really helpful. Anything that shows graphs. We also use Ahrefs heavily because, again, it has lots of graphs and charts and tools and um, just the ability to show someone visually what's going on. And then I would say, third, we do some video editing. We like a product called We Video to do video
Okay.
editing. We also use Canva to do some light graphic design. And so there's probably, I would say our third tool is probably a mixture of 5 cheap specialty tools. We pay a
Yeah.
lot of money for, the expensive tools, but when you get the stuff like Loom for $10 and WeVideo, I think is like $8 a month, you kind of just like throw them on the toolbox and use them twice a month, and they're
Sure.
worth the subscription if they save someone 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like Loom. I use Loom also. So I've always been impressed with it. So that's one I definitely love. Um, I'll I'll jump into the next question real quick. So this question, not to divulge any secret sauce, obviously, but getting clients is something that a lot of these entrepreneurs are wanting to know about. And they kind of get stuck on, should I make a video and then cold email a client with the video to try to get them? Should I stalk them on LinkedIn, direct message them, and try to offer a free lead magnet? There's lots of like these tactical type of questions. So what they're asking though is, how do you get clients, or more importantly, what is the best way that you have found to get clients, whether it was a particular tactic or if it was word of mouth? What has been the best avenue for you to actually obtain clients?
For me, I would probably rephrase that to, if I were starting out, what would I do? Because like right now, I know what I could do to get more clients, but I often don't have the time to actually do it. So trying
Yeah,
to balance that with, having a lot of clients, but also less free time for, business development, it's a you got to balance all that.
yeah,
So for me, if I were starting out with, one client or two clients or no clients, I would do whatever I could do to get in front of a client and establish my expertise. So I think something like, a subscription to Loom and an Ahrefs trial, or if you have an Ahrefs subscription, and I would just find clients on LinkedIn or on Facebook, or people that, maybe I know somewhat about what they do, or I've met them in the past. I'd send those people a 1 to 2 minute video, not much longer. I'd have a real short introduction, like, hey, this is Brandon. I work with Diamond Links. We do SEO. And I just wanted to take 12 seconds and just show you what I found on your website. So I'd cut to their
yeah,
website. So I was looking at your backlink profile and I noticed a lot of this, Chinese character spam. I don't know if you saw that or not, but that's the kind of thing I can help with. The downside to having Chinese character spam is that it could hurt your Google search results. So if you're worried about your Google search results and your keywords and your website showing up, just hit reply, let me know, and we can jump on a quick call and I'll just kind of walk you through what I would suggest you to do. So it's a 1 to 2 minute video. You send it to
yeah,
them. You don't have high hopes that you're going to get a 30% response rate. But
sure.
if you spend 8 hours a day doing that, you could probably send out 40 videos in a day, doing light research, sending the video. I'd follow up a week later, just, hey, did you see my video? Nothing else. And if they don't respond, they don't respond. But something to that effect, I think, would be very effective, especially if you get 1 or 2 conversations a day. You're doing 40 videos a day, you get 1 or 2 conversations with a prospect. If you close 20%, you close a new client or two every week. So it takes time, but nobody else is doing that. Like, I don't
Yeah,
ever get custom videos where somebody actually points something out. I get a lot of spam emails that say, hey, did you know that? And they insert whatever they pull out of the CSV,
sure.
but it's not
Yeah,
custom. So finding a way to stand out and be different, and then it's always going to be a shotgun approach, and it's always going to be, you're doing something mass. Cold email, you can send out thousands of emails a day, but you're not going to target many people, so you're better buying leads from somebody who's good at that. This approach takes you as an expert and puts you right in front of somebody.
yeah, and it's also giving value up front also. So there's kind of a little bit of reciprocation back potentially. If somebody were to make a 1 or 2 minute video and actually have something useful in it, like, hey, you've got a lot of these links that look spammy, I would at least feel obligated to reply back and say, hey, thanks for sending this. I didn't know it. Maybe I'm not going to hire them, but I would at least reply back, and that your email at least got to somebody, they read it, not just landed in promotions tab or spam, or they didn't even look at it. But so, yeah, giving that value first is an excellent tip that I think everybody should be doing and learning from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're getting into the kind of the personal questions here. So we're going to move a little bit away from agency stuff. Um, no, I'm sure that you read books, that you follow other marketers, maybe you attend events pre-COVID, and now it's webinars. But what would be two things that you learned from other marketers that have impacted you the most?
I'm probably a little different in that regard. Um, I purposefully try not to learn from other marketers. I feel like the one person that I've learned from was Jim Boykin, and
Oh
that
yeah,
was probably 15 years ago when he was doing heavy outreach and they were putting custom pages on existing domains, just a full like new type of landing page that was authority content with outbound links and very promotional. And um, I learned a lot just like from that approach because I had websites 15 years ago and they approached me for links,
oh
and so I
yeah,
saw that and I was like, and so I've always, if everybody's talking about something and everybody's doing something, it's probably already jumped the shark. It's already like heavily used. And I would rather be on the cutting edge of what's going to be effective rather than what is effective and everybody's talking about. So
yeah,
rather than individuals, I would rather spend my time on forums where you've got real people that don't have their names, that they're not trying to be found, sharing what they're doing. Builder Society, Black Hat World are great for that. But also, I think spending a lot of time testing. So I love to test everything that we do. And that's one of the selling points for Diamond Links. I always tell clients, we don't spend a dollar of your budget without knowing what we expect to happen. So you're not my guinea pig. Your budget doesn't go towards testing and let's see what happens if we do this, because we've already tested these strategies. I know what to expect with your budget. Therefore, we can get the results. And it's not the other way around where it's like, give me your budget. I'm going to hope something works. And therefore, we'll see what the outcome is. We know what the outcome is based on the budget, based on things like their domain metrics, their total number of inbound links, their linking domains, the competitor linking domains. And then we
yeah,
come in and say, okay, so based on all of that information, here's what I think you should spend in order to achieve what you're trying to achieve. I can't get that from other marketers. And that doesn't
yeah,
mean they're bad marketers. I just can't personally learn from what somebody else is saying and just take it at face value and then start doing it. I want to know for myself that it's going to work. And a lot of times, like when I read good marketers, it messes with my mind because now I'm taking what they think and trying to apply it to my situation. And I want to have new ideas that I'm testing and applying. So I value their work, but I don't often want to let that cloud my testing and what we're trying to do.
sure. Yeah, that's definitely a different angle and good insight too, which makes sense because I know there's lots of times that I'll read something, watch something, or get some advice, and I'm constantly telling myself afterward, does this even apply to me? Is this even going to be useful for me in my unique situation? And sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's not actually. So yeah, that's definitely good to keep in mind.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is probably the most embarrassing thing that happens to me regularly is a client will call and say, "Hey, how does the latest Google update affect us?" And I'm like, trying to Google like latest Google algorithm update because
Yeah,
I don't even track the updates. I don't stay abreast to what Google's doing. And, I know that there's Panda and Penguin and Eat and I know all of the updates, but I look at rank trackers and I want to know, what is SERPWoo showing that our client websites are doing. If everybody's going up, something's going right. If everything's going down, something's going wrong, which
yeah,
for me, the updates are 99% irrelevant. We don't build spammy links. We try to build good content that people want to read. And that's kind of one of our mantras is great content published on great sites leads to great results. And it's not tricking the algorithm. It's just,
yeah,
let's just put out good content, put it on good sites, and results will follow. So when a client says, how does the latest algorithm affect me? I have to go and figure out what the latest algorithm was. And, that's
sure.
usually the first indication for me that there was an algorithm update.
Yeah, exactly. Good, good. Well, our next question is one that is kind of unavoidable. It's probably the cliche question for mentors, and that's if you had to start all over again, you know what you know now, but you have to rewind back in time and start over. What would your first 90 days look like?
For me, I would say that until I have a client, I would spend every minute I had becoming an expert. So I would do video, I would do written content on my
Okay.
site, I would do guest posting, I would try to build a LinkedIn and a Facebook audience. So taking a video, transcribing it, cleaning it up, now you have a blog post,
Yeah.
pulling out some highlights, now you have a Facebook and LinkedIn post, pulling out 10 highlights, and now you've got a Twitter thread. And so trying to take
Yeah.
one piece of expertise and repurposing that and building that expertise and audience. And that to me has always been one of the ways that I acquire clients is through word of mouth, through referrals. A lot of our clients come through, hey, you should talk to Brandon. Brandon helped when I had that situation. We work with Diamond Links. And so that's where most of our clients come from is just happy current clients. And so I would
Yeah.
want to establish that authority, establish that expertise, and then try to close a couple clients. So once you've got a couple clients, you can really invest heavily in their work and show them great results, which is helpful. One of the most difficult things I would think to be starting over would be like right now we spend thousands of dollars on software tools, from things that do rank tracking to, like I
Yeah.
mentioned, like Ahrefs and all that stuff. So we've got an outbound email tool that we spend $2,000 a month sending outbound emails, and just all of these tools you wouldn't have when you start out. So you'd either need to spend some time on AppSumo trying to buy lifetime
Yeah.
deals of everything, or trying to find a free variant, or just slow down and do things manually. That would be difficult, but the same strategy would apply. How can I establish my expertise, and then how can I take that and build an audience for my name or for my brand name where people start to recognize and want to hire me?
Yeah. Good. Good answer. Um, what kind of problems keep you up at night? So this wouldn't be, personal problems like within your family or your household, and it wouldn't be specific client problems. But what kind of business problems in general would you say keep you up at night, or have kept you up at night?
I would say in a very negative way, when we have a problematic client who's mad and they're angry and they're a red flag client that you know you shouldn't be working with that person, and now they're mad about something. And I don't want our clients to be unhappy. We don't do a lot of long-term contracts, and that's kind of what we've always focused on is we want you to be happy. So most of the time we work month to month. If you're happy with our work, you'll keep paying because we do good work. If you're
Yeah.
unhappy, I don't want to hold a contract over your head and be like, you have to pay for the next 6 months, even though you're unhappy. So having bad clients that are unhappy with whatever, I don't like that feeling. So we try to provide good results. From a business perspective, I would say losing key employees is one of the things that keeps me
Mm,
up because
yeah.
they'd be hard to replace. Like the lady I mentioned that's been with me for a long time, she'd be hard to replace because she's really good. She knows what to do. She helps prepare proposals, and it's very smooth, and she's great at just like knowing what to do. And so like kind of like from a business intelligence and a business knowledge standpoint, we don't always document everything, like write down everything you do in a day so we can replace you if we had to, but
Sure.
that would be hard to replace as key employees. We've got somebody that does customer service and does very well with customer service, and that type of position would also be hard to replace. And even right now I'm trying to hire somebody, and people are expensive. Like
They are.
I've been trying to hire somebody for $20 an hour, and there's like no applicants. So we raised the latest position to $25 an hour, and we still have few applicants. And I'm like, this is a work from home position that is very flexible, will train you, you don't have to have a whole lot of experience, and people just aren't interested. So I know trying to replace certain people would be difficult. That would be the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to have a position, you hire somebody in and they're one of these employees that leaves after 2 or 3 weeks for whatever reason. I mean, sometimes it's legitimate. A lot of times it just wasn't a great fit. And you repeat that over and over and over again. And then it's also difficult when you've had somebody that's been in a role for a long time and you count on them, you depend on them, they know everything about your business. If you start a sentence, they can end it, and then that person leaves. So yeah, that's definitely something that would be worrisome to to
Yeah.
have to think about at night. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And I'm always like, we pay our people well because we like them and we want them to do well. But I'm fairly disconnected. We don't have a ton of employees. We've got a dozen or so employees, and so I'm not like churning through employees. And I mean, I hire like once or twice a year generally. It's not an ongoing thing, and so I'm fairly disconnected, like from the job market and also from the job pricing market. So I don't know always what type of, people are out there, as well as what type of, financial compensation they expect. So trying to
Yeah,
measure all of that, it's a learning curve every time I try to hire somebody. And I'm not the greatest at hiring people. I hire people I like, that I think are trainable and that would work well together with the rest of our staff. And then, just try to find a good fit. And so that's always something that I worry about, is if key people try to leave or want to leave.
yeah, yeah, and it's difficult too if they leave and don't really talk to you about it. Like say maybe they're unhappy and they don't talk to you, and then one day you just get a 2 week notice. That's always crushing too. Um, Let me ask you this. Some of our listeners, they're maybe have read the 4 Hour Work Week, or they know about this digital nomad life where they think they can go to some foreign beach somewhere and sit with their laptop and work for 4 hours a day, or even 30 minutes a day actually. One of the questions that we got, and I might know what you're going to say, is if you only had 30 minutes each day. Now, this could be somebody that's working 9 to 5 and then they come home and they've only got 30 minutes, or this could just be an extremely busy business owner that's in meetings all day. But if you only had 30 minutes each day to do the most important thing in your business, what do you think that one important thing would be?
I love the idea of the 4 hour work week. And I think it's very possible for most people to do something to that effect, whether it's 4 hours a week or 4 hours a day. But that idea of, I don't have to work 60 hours a week to do well and be successful. Um, I think that there are times where you do have to work more, and there are times that you can work less. I think that's the benefit of owning your own business, is you're not an 8 to 5. You don't have to clock in and out and clock out. You're not waiting at 4:50 to say, "Oh, I've only got 10 more minutes, then I can shut down my computer."
Yeah,
But that idea, I think, is very possible for a lot of people. But if I didn't have a whole lot of time, I would try to leverage my existing abilities. So if that person already does something, like if they're already an accountant, to try to find new accounting clients. Like, I have a friend who's a CFO at a company, and I keep telling him, he works from home, and for the company he works with, they don't care about hours, they don't care about him coming to the office, they only care about his job getting done.
yeah,
He says it takes him about 2 hours a day to do his job. And so they pay him a salary that's like $130,000 a year, and his job takes him about 2 hours a day. So my advice to him is, because he wants to start a business, and I keep telling him, like, leverage your CFO abilities and start fractional CFOs. Like, take another business and say, I would be your full-time CFO, and do what you're doing now. You could have, if they're not, managing your time harshly, and that's, what you'd have to negotiate, but leverage what you're already good at, and you don't have to learn something new in 30 minutes a day and put it into practice and be able to manage the back end of everything. So if you're an affiliate marketer if you are in sales, if you're in accounting, like take what you're good at and how can you leverage that? Like I've been in sales my whole life. So if I had 30 minutes, I would try to spend that time on the phone with clients because that's what I'm good at and that's what I like to do. So how can I leverage that time to be the most valuable? And that's what, kind of my personal idea has been is I want to make the most money possible in the time
Mhm.
that I'm working. Like I don't
Yeah,
have to work 80 hours a week. I don't have to work 2 hours a week. But for the hours that I do work, I want those to be as profitable as possible. So I don't want to spend time doing things that aren't profitable, that I don't like doing. I want to leverage what I'm good at and try to get everything else off my plate.
sure. Well, speaking about profit and money and time, um, how do you think would be the best way for somebody? Maybe this is an example that you can give personally. Um, Somebody that's gotten to a comfortable level and maybe they've gotten a little bit complacent. Um, I think the question is largely around how do you avoid becoming lazy when you've reached a certain milestone when it comes to profit or growth? How do you keep that drive going? Or, whether that was personal example or maybe something you've seen in others.
I think that I think that people have a nature that they tend to fall back into. I
Yeah.
enjoy what I do. So for me, when I start working, it's not as much work as it is a fun challenge. How am I going to overcome, starting a new business? I have no clients. I know the direction that I want to take. So, what do I need to do? What does the next step look like? How am I going to build that into $1 million company or a multi-million-dollar company? How are we going to do $1 million in annual recurring revenue or monthly recurring revenue? What are those big goals and how can I take steps to them? I think for a lot of people, they're not entrepreneurs at heart. They just want the freedom. And so once they have the freedom, you sell a business for $1 million and now you've got, if you pay taxes, you've got $600,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
But you have that money. And so now you just relax and you take it easy and you spend down that money instead of working. And that's okay. I don't think there's a bad thing in that. I think that different people are driven differently. And so the person who's an entrepreneur at heart, who likes the grind, who likes to see results, who's willing to push themselves, they sell that $1 million company and they see $600,000 in the bank as not just what they want to keep for the rest of their lives, but can they take a part of that and invest that into a new business that then they can
Yeah.
start to grow? And so, and I don't think either one of those are a right or a wrong. I think that's just the different natures of people. And I like to see things grow and I want to see things grow. And so I'm willing to invest financially and in time to push those companies to the next level. So having a successful business, I started another business and that
Sure.
business is successful. And I've started a third business. And so for me, it's what I enjoy doing. It's not a hard thing. It's just a fun challenge to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people miss, because I do agree, but I think a lot of people miss that it's okay if you aren't an entrepreneur and you do want the freedom and you accumulate $1 million some way and then you pay your taxes and then you kind of go live your lifestyle. And it's almost kind of like this is probably a bad comparison, but you always hear a lot that women and women's magazines that they push this specific view of what beauty is. Whether it's a blonde hair, blue eyed, really skinny, slender, tan person, and that's what beauty is. I think we have the same thing in the business community that if you're not Gary Vee or Mark Cuban or Warren Buffett, then you're just a loser. If you're not grinding 20 hours a day and getting 3 hours sleep, that you're a loser. I think, yeah, people have to be comfortable in their own skin and actually know what their goals are, and then align that with their goals. And if your goal is to get $1 million and then relax, that's great too. And then if you're the entrepreneur that looks at it as a game of, can I duplicate this again, and can I get even more soldiers to come back when I send my dollars out to fight a war? How much am I getting back? So that's definitely a great angle. Great answer, Brandon.
Yeah, and I think like people that want to just take that money and live off the residual income that they can get from it and move out in the middle of nowhere because it's cheaper, by all
Yeah.
means do that. And if you are continuing to grind and to be driven, then great, do that. I don't think there's a right, wrong, win, lose.
Sure.
It's just, that's okay. Both those are okay.
Yeah. Well, our last question, the last 3 years. So if we talk about ORM or we talk about SEO, what do you think's been the biggest change the last 3 years for the industry? And what do you think the next 3 years will look like?
I think the biggest change is that Google really has cracked down on quality. So low quality does not rank anymore like high quality does. And I mean that in every aspect. So graphics and content and design and authority. So
Yeah.
having quality is better than quantity. When I started, I keyword spammed my way onto the first page and onto the number one position for a ton of keywords. I like my first example of my first success was about 2002 probably, and I ranked number one for free business cards.
Oh,
Right
wow.
below me was Vistaprint, and I was a Vistaprint affiliate, ranking number one above Vistaprint for free business cards. And it was just keyword stuffing. I had free business cards dash free business cards in the title, and my meta description was free business cards, comma, business cards free, comma, business free card. It was just like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
just stuff all the keywords and it ranked. And you do that today and you might not even get indexed, let alone rank. So adjusting for what is not necessarily what the algorithm is looking for, but what just makes sense. If someone is searching for free business cards, for example, they're probably looking for free business cards. So
Yeah.
Google is going to show a company offering free business cards, not an affiliate, because that's what the searcher wants. That's the best quality content for that search term. But if someone is searching for free business cards comparison, what's going to rank is someone who has literally bought free business cards from every free business card company, who's looked at them, who's taken their micrometer and measured the width and measured the font sizes and taken macro photos of that to see what the quality of the print looks like. And they have a 7,000 word article comparing 10 free business card companies. They have videos, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that is what's going to rank now for that type of term. So you really have to think about what is quality in my specific set of search results. And I think that's one of the biggest changes. And I think that will continue to go on. I think right now Google has kind of hit a high crest point of it has to be an authority domain. And I think we'll start to tail off of that. Like, Amazon's not going to rank for everything 3 years from now. I think that we'll start to see more Shopify stores start to rank for specific keywords. I think that we'll start to see better quality individual sites ranking for those types of keywords. And so
Okay.
I think that's what we'll see is the resurgence of good individually owned pieces of content and sites, as opposed to right now where if you're the little guy, it's hard to rank.
Exactly. Yeah. Great insight. Well, that finishes it up. Again, thanks for being on the show. Why don't you take a second to tell people how to reach out with you and what they need to do if they want to work with you?
Yeah, so for us, most of our clients are either SEO or reputation management. So if you are needing the search engine results influenced one way or the other, that's what we do. That is 99% of our work is moving websites up for a good keyword or down for a negative keyword in reputation management.
Yeah.
So really that's what we do, and that's what we're good at, is affecting change in the search results. So to get in contact with us, just check us out, diamondlinks.com, and you can email sales@diamondlinks.com, and both Matt and I will get your email. Matt does some of the sales and I do some of the sales. So feel free just to email us or check us out at diamondlinks.com. I'm also on LinkedIn and other social media, so you can get in contact there as well.
Sure. Great. Great. Yeah. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Hey, you just watched another awesome interview about how to level up your digital marketing business. Hi, my name is Jason Brown, and I am the inventor of SERP tracking and the co-founder of SERPWoo. And today I want to offer you a 20% bonus if you sign up for a paid SERPWoo plan today. It's instant. There's no code that you need to have, and there's no special link. Sign up today, get that 20% bonus. I started SERPWoo almost a decade ago to help me have an advantage against other SEO professionals to find out what really was working on the first page of Google to rank my specific niche and my specific keywords in my industry. I threw out all the garbage about the vanilla SEO advice to find out what specifically worked in niches that I was building. And SERPWoo has grown in that decade to help 20,000 other digital marketers and companies and agencies to do the same. And if you want to get the same advantage of how to outrank your competitors within your specific industry and not just vanilla garbage SEO advice, take advantage of our 20% offer today by signing up for a paid plan with SERPWoo. Thanks.